The FiiO BTR3 is a bit old now and the BTR5 is now out, but I've had a bit of difficulty in sourcing the BTR5 and then the whole world went crazy. Anyhow, I figured if I was going to review the BTR5 I should probably have a benchmark to compare it with, especially as the BTR5 is about twice the price of the BTR3. So here is my look at the FiiO BTR3 and let's get into it. Hey guys, this is Noel and this is Wheezy Reviews. Each week I take a look at something audio related and let you know what I think, so if you're into that kind of thing then make sure you subscribe. The FiiO BTR3 is a Bluetooth wireless receiver, DAC and headphone amp whose purpose is to allow wireless connectivity with otherwise wired headphones and earphones. And when I first heard of this and products like it, I didn't quite get the appeal, but then after I got into IEMs, something clicked. If I was going to be out and about walking around wearing IEMs, I would have to be tethered to my phone with a wire, and I'd inevitably end up tugging on the wire, which would lead to discomfort and maybe dislodging the IEM from my ears. I would also either have to have the wire routed externally to my clothing all the time, which is something that I thoroughly dislike for walking around, or routed under my clothing, and then I'd have to deal with that wire being tethered to my phone. In short, exactly the reason why I shunned using earphones for such a long time. The FiiO BTR3 basically changed all of that for me. You just fit the earphones, route the cable however you like, connect the BTR3, which is itself small enough to fit in a pocket, and has a belt clip to allow you to clip it to any item of clothing. You then pair the BTR3 to your mobile device over the Bluetooth, and it supports AAC, SBC, aptX, aptX low latency, aptX HD, LDAC, LHDC or HWA codecs, and away you go. Now if you want to know more about Bluetooth codecs, I have done a video on that, and if you click up here you can check that out. But with the BTR3, there's no more tugging on cables and getting them caught on things, just wireless convenience using your favourite earphones or headphones. Now other uses for this are to add Bluetooth connectivity to an existing hi-fi system via an aux input, such as in your car, allowing your in-car hi-fi to have audio streamed to it from your mobile device. Now for the specs nerds, the FiiO BTR3 operates over Bluetooth 4.2 and uses the Qualcomm CR8675 Bluetooth chip and an AK4376A DAC chip. The output impedance of the device is claimed to be 0.3 ohms, which is excellent and shouldn't cause you any issues with your low impedance portable headphones. Now FiiO does recommend using headphones in the 16 to 100 ohms range. And for IEMs this has more than enough horsepower, but I'll talk later on how well the BTR3 drives some more inefficient headphones. The battery is 300 mAh, which takes just 1.5 hours to charge on a regular 5 volt and 500 milliamp USB charger. The battery life is claimed at 11 hours using the AAC codec. This is going to vary heavily depending on which codec you're using and how loud you have it. Let's take a closer look at the BTR3 itself. It uses a very compact aluminium body and weighs just 26 grams. On the front we have a large panel that looks almost like it could be a touchscreen, but actually it's only there to display the FiiO logo at the top, which is lit with an RGB LED, which hopefully you can see flashing there. There we go. Now this LED is used to indicate the current charging status, and also during use this changes colour depending on which Bluetooth codec is currently in operation. Now there are a few quirks with this LED in that some of the colours do look quite similar to each other. Here I've paired my OnePlus 6 currently using the LDAC codec, and the BTR3 is meant to display a white LED. However, this actually looks a lot more purple than white. I'm not sure if that's going to come through on the camera all that much, but it does definitely look purple in person. However, during aptX and aptX low latency operation, this is actually supposed to show purple, and it does show a much darker purple, so there is a difference. However, at a quick glance, without that comparison, it's hard to actually tell whether you're using aptX or LDAC just from this light. The LED will also display dark blue for SBC, light blue for AAC, orange for aptX HD, and green for LHDC or HWA. So the bottom of the device houses the 3.5mm headphone jack and a USB-C charging port. And before you ask, yes, this can be used as a USB DAC. However, it will not operate as a Bluetooth transmitter, which I think is a bit of a shame, as it would have made a good tool for adding an LDAC wireless system to a PC, which is something I'd like to see in a future device. When connecting as a USB DAC, it can draw power from your device, and that might not be desirable if you're connecting to devices running on battery, so you can disable charging via a setting in the FiiO Control app. Now on the right hand side of the device we've got all of the controls. At the top we have the power button. Now under this we have a mic for taking calls. I'll now play you a quick clip of the audio as recorded from the FiiO BTR3, so be prepared for a sudden change in audio quality.
The BTR3 essentially acts as a Bluetooth headset for communication. The mic also uses Qualcomm CVC noise cancellation, which should suppress any background noise during your calls. You're listening to that audio now, and I'll let you decide how it sounds.
Next down we have a multifunction button, which is the same as any other headset with a remote and mic. This is used to answer and reject calls as well as play and pause music, and it's also used for whatever smart assistant you have enabled on your phone. Below this we have the volume rocker, and on that note, the volume controls on the BTR3 are independent of the ones on your mobile device. Now some people may prefer this, and others, such as myself, prefer to have the volume control on the headphone or on the BTR3 to control the volume of the playing device. And that means that all of you Android users that use the Bluetooth absolute volume setting on your phone, that doesn't actually do anything with the BTR3. Even if you enable this option, the volume controls on the BTR3 and your device will remain independent. It's not a deal breaker for me, but I do find it a little bit annoying, and you'll have to decide if that means anything to you. At least the BTR3 does remember the last volume you had set, so you won't have to readjust it the next time you power cycle the device. Now pairing is pretty easy. When you first turn on the BTR3, it will be in pairing mode, and you pair your mobile device the usual way. But there's also an NFC quick pairing option for those with mobile devices that support this. You simply tap your NFC capable device to the BTR3 and this will initiate the pairing process. Multi-device pairing is also an option with the BTR3. In practical use, that means that you can have your BTR3 paired to multiple devices at once, and you'll be able to seamlessly switch playing audio from one source to the other. This could be especially useful during these times of working from home. You could seamlessly switch between using the BTR3 for your Microsoft Teams or Zoom meetings communication headset from your laptop, and also taking calls and listening to music from your phone. And yes, this is not a new idea and has been in place on many Bluetooth headphones before. However, for someone like me, for example, coming from a headphone like the Sony 1000XM3, this is actually a novel thing. I really hope that Sony adds this feature on the 1000XM4. Come on Sony, I believe in you. Now some people might dislike this auto switching feature, and the good news is that it can be disabled via the FiiO Control app. You would then have to manually switch input devices by double tapping on the power button. On the back of the BTR3 there is a belt clip and a lanyard hole for attaching the included lanyard strap, as well as the high-res wireless audio certification badge, which is showing off the claimed high-res capability of the device. Now, as previously mentioned, FiiO does provide an app called FiiO Control, which allows some extra control of the device. FiiO Control provides a few options, including a graphic equalizer, channel balance, manual selection of the Bluetooth codec, and disabling the LED. It's worth noting that this app is entirely optional, and other than the EQ, it just allows finer control of certain features. So how does the BTR3 sound? Well, I should hope that it doesn't sound like anything. I want my solid-state sources to be as transparent as possible. No DSP, no special tricks to deliberately color the sound. Now, I'm not an engineer, so I can't do measurements and talk in detail about SNR and SINAD and THD or whatever, but as a mobile device itself, the competition for the BTR3 is really just the headphone out on your mobile music player. So I think this test should be, is it noisy for high sensitivity earphones? And is it better, or at least not worse, than the headphone out on your phone? These are the kind of real-world benchmarks that matter to me as someone who's not an engineer. Can I hear a negative difference? And the answer to that is no. I couldn't detect any noise with sensitive IEMs, but I should note that as the volume controls are independent, you do want to have the volume up on the player to around 95% and then adjust the volume from the BTR3, and that's going to give you the best signal to noise ratio. I did find that the output of the BTR3 was cleaner than from my phone. My phone tends to be a little bit warmer in the low end, and the BTR3 sounds more natural and has a bit more clarity. So what about less sensitive headphones? Can they be driven from the BTR3? Well, I connected my HD6XX and HE4XX and I can just about drive them to adequate levels with the BTR3, but there isn't much headroom left. The volume is almost maxed out. It does get louder than directly out of my phone for sure. I actually have to totally max the volume out on my phone to get them loud enough. But for the GT770 Pro, I do need to fully max out the BTR3 to get a decent volume. I think it's fair to say that yes, the BTR3 can drive more inefficient headphones to levels that are adequate but won't damage your hearing. However, for audio with more dynamic range, maybe it will struggle a bit, and also it's probably going to have a negative effect on your battery life. I think that's mostly academic anyway, as most people will be using the BTR3 with portable headphones which tend to be much easier to drive. Now all of this comes in this package that costs as little as £45, which is half the cost of the BTR5. I will be picking up the BTR5 hopefully soon to test and we'll see if it's worth the extra cost. But I'm certainly impressed with the FiiO BTR3. As a gadget nerd and audio enthusiast, this is a really cool device that opens up a whole new avenue of portable listening convenience for me. The only real question I have is why I didn't pick this up sooner. Right, that's going to be it then. If you like this video, then don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't already, then please consider subscribing. Also, I'm on Patreon now, so if you want to support the channel, then check the links down in the description. Join at any tier and get access to the Discord, or join at the $5 tier or above and get your name over here alongside these legends. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a good one.